Greetings, Virginians, especially Virginians of the 1st District of Virginia, Senate District in Northwest Virginia. This is the Spirit of George Washington, and I'm speaking on behalf of Brad Pollack for State Senate District 1. He's a Marine, a MAGA conservative, a proven leader on the Shenandoah County Board of Supervisors, and now running for State Senate in District 1. Brad is a tough attorney with a track record of standing up for the little guy and fighting for Virginians, both in the courtroom and on the Board of Supervisors and in the courts of Virginia for maintaining our history. Brad is pro-gun, pro-life, tough on crime, and been fighting the radical liberal elite for decades. Brad Pollack is for Virginia. It's time to get tough. Brad Pollack is a champion of the MAGA platform in Shenandoah County and will do the same in the Virginia Senate. With your support, your vote, he will protect constitutional rights and uphold the Second Amendment, enforce our immigration laws. He represents a child trafficking whistleblower who's exposing the corruption of the Department of Health and Human Services. He will end the groomer agenda in public schools, forced LGBT plus Shenandoah former superintendent of schools to retire. Support his fellow veterans and active duty members. Brad Pollack will continue to fight tooth and nail for the Christian values we hold dear. He is fighting to restore Stonewall Jackson High School, the epitome of a Christian man, and Lord Fairfax Community College, Lord Fairfax the father, third father, surrogate father of George Washington. Vote on June 20th to send a message that you want the restoration of Virginia and her proud heritage. Brad Pollack, I ask you, what do you have to add to that introduction?
It's hard, General. I really appreciate your doing that on the, I believe, the 248th anniversary of your commissioning as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. Otherwise, June 19th is now called June 19th, or the 19th of June, some sort of leftist liberal holiday we're having today that our government employees are all getting paid and not working. I don't imagine that our listeners here who pay taxes are happy with that. But that's what I've been about. Been about fighting for Stonewall, again, the most moral and Christian man in our history who actually was woke in the 1850s. He loved slaves. He was raised by slaves. They loved him. They asked him to purchase them. He was so good to them. He broke the law, risked going to prison by assembling them in his church at 3 o'clock every Sunday, teaching them to read, teaching them the Bible. And that's what we need today. That's what we need today, and we need Stonewall as an example of that. We need to hold him up to our citizens and our students. But believe it or not, General, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, there's one example. The real reason I'm here helping you is because in 2008, you went with me I'm a prison chaplain as well. I went to see an innocent Army veteran who was in jail wrongly. And you went with me and knelt and prayed, and we read the Bible, a chapter in the Bible together. And then we talked about his legal things. And it took 8 years, but we got that innocent man out of jail, and he now has a Christian business in Winchester, 5 over-the-road tractor rigs, doing great, has active in his church. But that's the type of thing you are willing to go and help the little guy, and that's what we need in Virginia, is a man in the Virginia Senate who's willing to fight for the little man.
And it's not just on an individual basis, General.
Yes.
As General Washington are a student of the Bible. Pray numerous times a day. And one of the things that I think our listeners are very familiar with in the Bible is that we need to look out for the least among us. And the least among us are those folks in our prisons and their children. And we're doing nothing but warehousing them. And as a Marine, somebody that spent 26 and a half years in the Marine Corps, who spent a lot of time in boot camp, that's what these inmates need. We need to send the Marines into our prisons. And then we need to send a team of people led by my dear friend and client, Dog the Bounty Hunter, who wants to do nothing but devote the rest of his life to converting inmates to Jesus. And that's the answer in our prisons, and by extension, that's really the answer in our society as a whole, because everybody needs to come to Jesus. We need to be addressing sin. Our Commonwealth needs to stop encouraging sex without commitment, and our children need to be raised in functional households with somebody in charge instead of chaos, so that they can grow up to be healthy, whole human beings, and not the dysfunctional people in our society today.
Yes, indeed. If we restore families, then families can restore our communities and our Commonwealth.
Absolutely. And I think we're over time, General. I appreciate your time on this most august day for you, anniversary of your commissioning of the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, and I wish you a good day.
God bless you, sir, and may Americans bless God.